we are drinking water, okay? Because we have some serious business to get into. Welcome to what is usually the most listened to podcast episode of Inspired Lady in the 3 years we've been doing this. The New Year's planning your successful new year, new era, all that. This episode is always our most listened to. Always. And I think that says a lot about you personally. I think that says a lot about how incredibly empowered you are and inspired you are right now to freaking do the things. And I'm just honored to be a part of that, genuinely, okay? I am so excited to dive into this episode because we're talking on all of my favorite topics mixed into one, and this is how to plan for a successful new year. Whether you feel like this past year flew by super fast in a blur or dragged on forever, or maybe a mix, we have a fresh start ahead of us. And today we are going to explore how to approach that with so much intention, faith, and some really practical tools, as always. So grab your drink. I'm being basic, like I said, water, because we have no time to mess around. But you should drink something more fun than me. Maybe a notebook, maybe your planner, whatever it looks like. And let's dive in, okay? Because, man, it's amazing. Now, if you haven't listened to the episode on reflection, that's where we're going to start. We always start with reflection. So go listen to that. Get yourself all reflected on 2024, okay? Then you're going to really focus on what we loved about 2024, there we go, that we're bringing into the new year. What went well? What are we taking with us? What habits? So if you listen to that episode, great. You're already on track. If you haven't, go listen to that. All right. I made these fast and short so that way you can keep up and we can do this together. Now that we've reflected, now that we know what we're bringing with us, let's talk about setting goals. All right. 1, your goal should be faith-centered. All right. We're Christian girlies here. This means we need to pray over our plans and ask God to guide us. We don't get to just sit there with a blank pen and paper and us come up with plans and then try to make those happen. Not that smart of us. I don't want to walk into a plan that I made and I'm going to try to force because it's not what's best for me. And B, I want to make sure I'm walking the road that God has prepared for me. So we're going to lean into that, all right? We're going to be praying over the plans, asking God to guide this. Verse of the day, ready. Proverbs 16:3. Commit your work to the Lord and your plans will be established. All right? That is what we're focusing on now. We are focusing on inviting God into space and asking him to lead this conversation instead of us making a wish list and then treating him like a genie and saying, Lord, please grant these wishes. No. We're not doing that. All right? I mean this lovingly. That sounded a little harsh. I love you. Okay? It's fine. Now, what are we going to do? We're going to create goals in key areas. All right. Here are your key areas. Faith. That's number 1. This could be maybe reestablishing some better routines for your Bible study. Maybe you need to join a group at church. Maybe you need to start going to church, whatever that looks like for you. What are you looking forward to in 2025 that aligns with your faith? Okay. Next, health. Building really sustainable habits. Maybe this needs to start with your sleep. Maybe it needs to start with how much water you're consuming. Maybe it's something more like tangible, like you need to go to therapy. Maybe it's working out more or updating your diet, not in the terms of sticking with a diet, but diet meaning in the sense of what you're actually eating. Okay. Number 3 is going to be your relationships. Where are you at with community? Where are you at with dating, marriage, kids, all of it, family? Where are you at? Awareness of what's going on in those relationships, and then how are you bettering them? How are you making them better? Because guess what? We all have tons of relationships around us. So what are you doing to better those? Next, career/education. Are you pursuing growth? Are you pursuing new skills? Where do you want to be in a year? Are you going to have a degree that you graduated with? Are you going to be finished with high school? Are you going to have a job promotion? Are you going to have your first job? Are you going to start a business? Are you going to learn German? Like literally, okay? So those are our pillars. I also think a good pillar here is going to be finances. Where are you at financially? It is really important to know. And how are you going to better that? Do you have a ton of debt? Are you tithing to the church? Are you giving to other people? Are you supporting charities and nonprofits that you agree with? What does that look like for you? And how can you make it better? What can you pay off? All right. So we have faith, health, relationships, career/education, finance, and our last bucket is, I'm going to call it adventure. How are you living your best, biggest life? How are you just living it up this year? What do you want to do? Where are you traveling to? What activities are you doing? Because, I mean, you got one shot on this planet. You got 1 year of being the age that you are. So how are you going to make it memorable? There's a lot you can do with that. And it's super exciting because you get to write these ideas down and then actually start to put dates on them and save up for them, whatever that looks like, okay? So our goals are going to be SMART, not just because we're wise, but because SMART is an acronym. SMART means specific. So we're going to get really, really nitty gritty on what the actual goal is. Measurable. You're going to know when you complete this goal. There's an end in sight. It's not, I'm going to get fit. Like, what the heck does that mean? Everyone does that. What does get fit mean? Absolutely not. No. But you're going to know when you reach this goal. You're going to have something you're actively working for. It's achievable, okay? Measurable, achievable. You got little steps you're taking to it, and you're going to achieve it. It's relevant. My goal makes sense for the life that I live. Like, if my goal was become a mom, well, I don't really want children right now. And neither does my husband. So that's not a relevant goal. That's not going to help me go where I want in life at this time, all right? And lastly, it's time bound, okay? I have an actual timeline for this. It's not this just random thought like become a mom. This is just an out there goal. Someday, maybe. No. We're not doing that. It's time bound. So it's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So instead of saying get closer to God, you're going to say, I'm going to spend 15 minutes daily reading my Bible. Does that make sense? All right, we're going to do that. So we're doing that with our faith, our health, our relationships, our career, our finance, and our adventures. All right. So what is one specific goal that you feel God is calling you to in each of those buckets? And then you're going to maybe DM it to me because I'm nosy and I want to know. And I also want to support you through that and like cheer you on. So once we have those goals made and they are written down, because we're going to, I prefer pen and paper. I guess you can type it. Yeah, you can type it. It's fine. I don't control you. But I am saying you should write it down because there's something about pen and paper. It's really magical. So goals are great, but systems and habits are what's going to make it achievable. All right. So we're going to break down our goals. What is the first small step that you can take toward each one of them? First small step. So let's say you have one where you're like, you know what? I want to go to Pilates 3 times a week. First step is finding a studio and then signing up. Okay. So what is your first small step that you're going to take towards each goal? So for healthier living, if you want to say you want to drink more water, or maybe you want to meal prep, maybe you start with making the menu. Okay. So if your goal is to meal prep, you're going to start with making the menu. As you break down your goals more, you're going to find that you're really going to want to use a planner. My favorite planner of all time is the Hustle Sanely planner. I love it. It's Christian, has little verses in it, super, super detailed, also a little intense. It's a little intense. I'm not going to lie. If this is your first year where you're using a planner, you may not want to jump in that deep end. So if you're kind of a newer person to it, I love the good Christian planner. That's all it is, Christian planner. It's great. It's a little bit more basic. It's what got me through college. It does the job really well. I am at the point now where my plans are so nitty gritty, detailed, planned out that I enjoy the Hustle Sanely planner because it gives me space to make things a little bit more intense. So it depends kind of where you're at, but find one that you really like. It's helpful. And then do a weekly check-in with yourself during this, okay? So every single week, I usually do mine Thursdays. I check in, reevaluate all my plans for the upcoming week, make sure I'm on track for my goals. It gives me enough time that in case I miss something, I still have a couple days to get it done, all of that. And you're going to anchor these habits to faith then, all right? So as you're looking through your goals and you're praying over your goals and you have a goal in each one of those buckets, and then you start to look at what habits you need to instill. So let's say for the adventure one, I want to climb a mountain. That's actually not that far off. And well, guess what? If I went to go climb a mountain right now, I don't think I would make it. I did a crazy hike in Montenegro this year and it was so intense. Oh my gosh. It was like a mini mountain and it was actually climbing up these castle ruins that was like this old fortress from hundreds and hundreds of years ago. All of that to say, my gosh, I almost died multiple times. Like when we got back to the ground, my legs were convulsing. Like I could not control them. They were shaking so bad. And that just shows you, like, if I went to go climb a mountain right now, I wouldn't be ready. So it means I need to train to reach that goal. So I'm going to set a training schedule. But then in order to make it last, I'm going to anchor that habit to my faith. Okay. So I'm going to write down a prayer or maybe a verse for that habit. So that way I'm being consistent in tying it back to my faith, bigger vision. Because does climbing a mountain ultimately have anything to do with faith? No, you could literally leave faith out of it. But I think that if you're strategic about it, you can bring faith into anything, including your fun and your adventure and climbing a mountain. You can make anything faith-based on. And I love that. All right. So of course, life is going to throw us curveballs. So how do we stay on track when things get tough? All right. How are we doing this? Because I am talking about prepping for an entire year. And we are crazy if we think we know what's going to happen in that entire year, that we are at all prepared for all of the many things that are going to go wrong and right in that. All right. So number one, it's okay to adjust your plans. Just keep moving forward. You got to stay flexible with it. All right. Should there be a curveball that comes in, it is okay to readjust. For example, this past year, my husband was called to active duty for 3 months. Was I prepared? No, because they didn't give us a lot of warning time. But I realized it's okay because I'm going to use this time to keep moving forward and I'm going to get flexible with it and I'm going to adjust, but it's not going to stop me completely. It changed my pace. I actually went faster, but it didn't stop me. Next is accountability. Sharing goals with a friend or a mentor who will pray with you and encourage you in that is huge. And I know I always say this, seriously, DM me, reach out, whatever, share your goals with me. Let's talk about them. Let's go through them together. I absolutely love to do that stuff. And it's really, really important that when those curveballs come, then you have someone that you can be like, hey, remember how I told you I was going to start a podcast this year? Well, like I was just hit with this like crazy sickness. I don't think I can. And then also having someone in your life that goes, whoa, your health is so much more important than that goal. And to kind of give you that freedom from an outside perspective, it's powerful. It really is, okay? And that kind of leads to this grace then, that when you fall short, when you don't reach those goals, you don't let the guilt paralyze you. Instead, you let God's grace empower you to get back up, okay? Guilt paralyzes, God empowers. So when we are not hitting our goals that we really thought we would, or we're looking back at 2024 and we're like, I did not do half the things I thought I would. How can I expect myself to step up in 2025 when I didn't in 2024? We have grace. We have endless grace because the grace does not come from us. It comes from God. We're relying on his grace. So when we fall short, we're not going to worry about it. We're going to learn from it, but we're not going to let it consume us. All right. So as we step into this next year, I really want you to remember success is not perfection. It's faithfulness. All right. I'm going to say it one more time. Success is not perfection. It is faithfulness. You're going to be faithful in your steps, faithful in your habits, faithful in trusting God's plan over your plan, because that's where we lean into it. All right. So I'm cheering you on for this incredible year. It literally starts so soon. So if you're listening to this when it comes out, it's, the 30th, take today, deep clean your house, get everything ready that you need to, go through your closet, get all those donation bags out and set your environment up for success. Take your planner, go through, plan some things out because it's incredible. All right. It really, really is when you are walking in with so much purpose to a new year. It's not guaranteeing you things are going to be perfect, but it is setting you up to be faithful. All right. So I love you so much. Also, a great tool for you in the new year is going to be this podcast, also the Abundant Living book. If you haven't gotten your copy yet, it is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all the places that you love to shop for your books. So grab a copy, read that. It's going to help. It really, really is. I promise. And then if you love it, leave a review. If you love this podcast, leave a review, all the things. And yeah, it's going to be amazing. I'll see you next week in 2025. Until then, Stay inspired and live your life abundantly.